All right, athlete, Tony Bevilacqua coming at you today from the whiteboard because I want to talk about something that is really the primary reason most guys reach out to me for help. And you might know where I'm going with this, but it's, look, most guys I talk to, one of the struggles that they have is trying to lose excess body fat. And I say excess body fat because, look, as human beings, we need to have some level of body fat. We just don't want to have excess body fat, right? And there's a normal way of going about this whole thing, right? There's the normal approach, which is like, okay, I've got 20 pounds to lose, so I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to find some sort of a diet or an exercise program or a combination of both, and I'm going to jump into that thing and I'm going to lose the 20 pounds, and then, and there's statistics around this, 85% of the folks gain that weight back within 6 months. And most of the time they gain it back with extra weight. So what's going on there, right? Most guys know how to lose weight. Like, you can do it. You've probably done it before, but how do you get it to stay off? How do you get it to stay off? Because that's the holy grail, right? So before we get into like tactics and strategies, I want to talk about something. We want to back up a little bit. We want to pull away from the tactics and strategies because that's the mistake a lot of guys make, is that's where they start, right? We need to back things up a little bit, and we need to start talking about what's going on up here, because this is where true permanent change happens, right? Anybody can apply some new strategies, some new tactics into their life. Generally, they're going to be short term, right? But if you really want to change who you are as a person, you have to change your mindset. You have to change your brain. It has to start up here before anywhere else. So what does that look like? So whenever I work with someone in Athletic After 40, I offer them an opportunity to take on a new identity. A new identity, and I call it the athlete identity. This is the identity that you can give yourself that you need to live by, right? So whenever you're going to eat some food, whenever you're going to go exercise, whenever you're going to go to bed at a reasonable time, it becomes much, much easier to make the right choices when you're an athlete, right? Because that's what athletes do, right? And if you can wrap your head around that idea, that thought, that identity, that feeling you get, it almost becomes, when you really start to embrace that, it almost becomes incongruent to do anything else, right? Like, I use the example all the time of going to a birthday party with my son, and if I'm at the birthday party and they're handing out cake and they say, "Hey, Tony, do you want a piece of cake?" And I'm like, I got no issue saying no. Like, it's so easy for me, because it's so congruent with who I am. I have resistance to say yes. Like, even though I like cake, I can't say yes because there's just resistance there. It's not who I am, right? So first thing first is like, embrace this different version of you. If you're serious about your health, your fitness, your well-being, which you likely are if you're here with me, if you're really serious about those things, then really embrace that. Embrace that identity. And you might have to use a little bit of delusional optimism for a while, meaning like you have to believe it so much in your mind. You have to sort of condition your body. It's like going to the gym. You have to condition your brain. You have to condition your mind to live this life, right? Be that person. Would an athlete do this? Would an athlete eat that? Would an athlete do this? And I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but an athlete definitely makes more good decisions than bad decisions, right? So start there. Right? That's like top of the funnel stuff. And then we kind of go down a little bit lower and deeper in, and we get into the tactics and the strategies. And primarily there's two tactics that most people will look to when they're trying to lose weight. Number one is fitness. Number two is nutrition. So we got fitness and we have nutrition. So they'll either pick one of those or they'll do a combination of both. But here's the deal. We want to use the right tool for the job. If your goal is to lose body fat, fitness is the worst tool for losing body fat. I'm going to say that again. Fitness is the worst tool for losing body fat. Nutrition is the best tool for losing body fat. How can I say that? Because I've worked with so many people over the years who have gotten themselves in great shape, but got fatter. And I'm going to say that again too, and just let that land with you. I've worked with a lot of people who've gotten in great shape, but have also simultaneously gained weight, gained body fat. So you're probably thinking like, how is that? Well, it's amazing what we can do when we put exercise into someone's body. It's amazing how the body will adapt to it. In other words, you can be stronger. We can improve your cardiorespiratory endurance. We can make that system more efficient. We can make you more flexible. We can make you more coordinated. Like, there's so many benefits to fitness, but if you go home after your workout and you drink a case of beer and you eat a pizza, you might still retain some of those physiological benefits of exercise, but you're certainly not doing yourself any sort of service on the body fat front, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So we don't want to use fitness for weight loss. It's kind of like gas on a fire when we start using the right tool for the job, which is your nutrition, right? So let's talk about the tactics and strategies that we would want to use. I'm just going to go through these broadly because I don't have a lot of time here, but let's go through these broadly. But we're going to talk about 3 of the most important things that you'll need to address when it comes to nutrition so that you can live the athlete life. You can live in a body that looks great, which is lean, right? That performs well, that looks great, that's high energy, that's high performance. That's what really athletic, healthy guys want. Like, they want a body that looks the part and performs the part, right? We want both of those things. There's probably more that we want too, but let's talk about this thing, and I want to make sure I don't pull this wire too much. So what I'm going to do is just draw this triangle, and we're going to do 3 levels here. And I love triangles. The reason I love triangles is because it has a foundation. So when we're talking about fitness, we want to make sure that we're building, when we're talking about nutrition, we want to make sure that we're building a foundation before we get into some of these higher levels, right? So foundation first, then we can move up. And what does the foundation entail? And I'm just going to give you a second to kind of think about that, because what I'm guessing you're thinking is maybe quantity of food, right? Like, how much am I eating? And to be honest, quantity is actually up here. Whoops, I'm having a hard time drawing today. Quantity is up here. It's the least important thing. Let me explain. The base of the pyramid, the foundation, is the quality of the food that you're eating. The quality of the food that you're eating has a significant impact, not just on your body weight, but also on the health of your body, on the way your body performs, right? This is the foundation of a healthy diet, of a healthy life, is the foundation of the quality of your food, right? If we just go to quantity, like most nutrition programs will do, they sort of start there. Let's figure out how many calories you need to eat every day to lose weight. This is where they start, right? But if you think the flaw, if you really think about this, the flaw here is that you could drink a can of soda and eat 3 donuts every day and you'll lose weight, 100%, right? But I'm more interested in just the short game weight loss. I want you to be the most healthful version of yourself, and when we fix the quality of your foods, that's what's going to help you to lose the excess body fat. We don't have to worry about quantity, right? Because if you're eating quality foods, it's really hard to overeat quality food, right? And we don't really have to worry about quantity. And you'd be amazed at just how often this works without the quantity, okay? So what's the next step here? Because once we fix someone's quality, most of the time we're going to see some results. But there are times where we want to use another tool. And this next tool is timing. So this is, in essence, when you're feeding yourself, when you're eating, right? And you probably heard of this thing called intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating. And what's really fascinating about this is there's been a ton of research out there around what physiologically your body is doing when it's processing food compared to what your body is doing when it's not processing food. And it's like 2 completely different physiological states. Kind of like sleeping is a physiological state and being awake is a physiological state, right? They're both super valuable, but they're very, very different. And the same thing occurs when you're fed and unfed. So there's benefits to both. We want both. But what most of the research has shown is that we spend way too much time in the fed phase as opposed to the unfed phase, right? So we want to take a look at timing. And usually if we can correct that timing, one of the benefits of timing is it improves your health. It improves your health, right? Because at the end of the day, we've got a goal of weight loss, but really when we look at this and we scale this up into the bigger picture, right, to live the athlete life, is it about losing weight or is it about being super, super healthy? And I would say if you're super, super healthy, you don't have any excess body fat on the system, right? So this is ultimately what we're trying to chase. So imagine if you implemented a quality nutrition plan, if you implemented in some modifications to the timing that you might be using right now, there's a really good chance that you don't even need to go to quantity, right? But imagine if you just did these two things and you consistently did that for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the rest of your life. What do you think you'd look like? What do you think, how would your body perform? How would you feel? What would your energy levels be like? Right? This is a game changer. And it's so simple. It's so simple. If you implement these two strategies, and there's some nuance to it, everybody's going to be a little bit different, but this is the basic framework. Get your foundation figured out, add on some timing, and like you can't lose. You cannot lose. So look, if you want to look amazing and you want to do it in an uncomplicated way, and you want to be high performance, you want to live an athlete life, this is your nutrition framework. This is how you can get rid of that excess body fat and you can keep it off. Little asterisk here. This takes a little bit longer than just cutting your calories, right? Because if you came to me and we worked together and I said, look, here's what you got to do. If you want to lose 30 pounds, just only eat 500 calories a day for the next 6 weeks, you're going to lose that 30 pounds, right? If that's the criteria I gave you, there's a really good chance, like 100% chance, that you're going to start eating quote unquote normally again. You're not going to be tracking your calories and limiting your calories to 500 calories a day because you'll starve to death, right? So it's just unsustainable. It doesn't work, right? And if you have the athlete identity, if you have that athlete mindset, the red flags should go up immediately, right? As an athlete, you're sort of repelled by some of those quick fix solutions. You no longer have to chase this stuff. You don't have to chase magic pills, potions, supplements, all the garbage that's out there, because there's a lot of garbage out there. So again, it's a little bit slower, but if you want the right way to do this, this is how you do it, okay? All right, so hopefully this was helpful. And look, if you'd like some help on the journey, just let me know. There should be a button around here where you can either message me or comment or I don't know, there's probably some button somewhere around here to connect with me. But if you'd like some help or if you have a question, feel free to reach out because that's what I do. So we want to help you to be the most badass version of yourself as a guy over the age of 40.